Hello, everybody. I'm Littleboy. Welcome to the Roundtable Sports Talk Discussion Show. I want to start out by first saying our show is sponsored by 4-Wheel Parts. So go to pmlbsports.com, click on the 4-Wheel Parts banner, and anything you buy through there, we will get a little piece of that. And it always helps out because right now we don't make a whole lot of money to do this show. It's a lot of fun, but we're not making a whole lot of money. So I'm going to introduce our guest today. I got Darren here from PFP Sports.
Hello.
And stop the presses. Producer Joe is alive. He is alive.
And in front of a camera.
And he's in front of a camera for the first time ever. I want to welcome you to the show there, Producer Joe.
Good to be here.
We got BT on the phone. BT, are you there?
Yep. How's everybody doing today?
Real good, real good. BT, of course, is from PMLB Sports as well. And, once again, a lot of you are going to be watching this recorded, but we do stream live every single Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, www.pmlbsports.com. We're going to get right into the first subject. Hyman's Ward, still retired, stay away. Stay away, you cheap shot artists. Nobody likes you, not even the Steelers. Next subject.
What happens if he goes to the Chargers?
I will hate him for a little while, and then I might start liking him. But nobody wants him. He sucks. He's a cheater. He's a cheap shot artist. He sucks.
With rings. It's like what happened to Skyfell. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you have to like him, but anyway.
All right. We've already spent way too much time on this cheap shot artist. Moving on. The Saints' Sean Payton is speaking to Bill Parcells about taking over the team for a year. What do you guys think? You think that's a good idea? Let me start you with Producer Joe here. What do you think?
I think he deserved it. I think Bill Parcells would be a good choice. If not, get Marty in there.
You know, Marty's not a bad idea either, actually. Somebody who's not doing something. What do you think there, Darren?
What's the point? I mean, if he's still got the fire to coach, I think he'd want something a little more than just a one-game thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his head, but it just, to me, it doesn't seem worth it to just kind of go in and fill in for a season.
Well, I think that's the whole idea, is the fact that maybe he doesn't want to be a full-time coach, but it might be kind of a nice thing, a nice thing to do for one season to kind of help out. What do you think there, BT?
I don't like it. I like the tuna, and I love the Saints, even with the whole Bounty Gate scandal or whatever. But I want to see Bill Parcells in the Hall of Fame next year. He should have been in there this year. For some reason, he wasn't. And if he coaches this year, he'll have to wait till 2018 before he's able to get in the Hall of Fame. And just for that sole reason, I don't want Parcells to come back and coach.
Yeah, that's a great point. I actually had that written down. I'm happy you brought that up. That is an interesting point, the fact that if he goes back to coaching, he's got to wait another 5 years before he can go into the Hall of Fame. I had heard that he might possibly come on as like a consultant, not actually take the head coaching job. We're using Sergio's
using quotes now? Okay.
Sergio, if you're watching, you'll understand. Come in as a consultant to kind of help out because, remember, their GM is gone for the first 8 games, and one of their assistant head coach is out for the first 8 games as well. So I can actually see that happening. What do you think there, BT?
Yeah, I mean, I could too. But like I said, I'm solid. I love tuna, don't get me wrong. But it's just for that sole reason. I think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a sort of like a Howard Mudd did with the Colts a few years ago, as that, the sideline presence. But
Right.
how would that affect with his Hall of Fame ballot,
Right. I'm not sure if that. I'm assuming that the consultant role wouldn't affect that at all. Did you want to say something there, D?
Yeah, just the whole Saints thing in general, from the Bounty Gate to now to Bill Parcells. The whole thing is just tired to me. I'm getting so tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, if he does it, if he doesn't do it, who really cares? And I want to go back to one thing you said, BT. Did I hear you say you love the Saints? I thought you were a Redskins fan. How could you love the Saints?
I like the Saints.
No. You said you love the Saints.
For that community, the way that they helped that community through Katrina. They win the Super Bowl. They bring life to that town that even now is still in the ruins.
Any team would have done that, though. If that would have happened anywhere, I mean, I'm not saying won the Super Bowl, but I mean, any professional sports franchise would have helped out a community if something tragic like that happened. I mean, I think the Saints kind of get a free I think the Saints kind of get a free pass for being, America's team and all this because of what they've done to Katrina. But if Katrina would have happened on the coast of California, I mean, all these California teams would have been doing the exact same thing.
That's a good point. I
just think a lot of people, for whatever reason, and especially maybe it's just here in San Diego because there's so many former Chargers on that team, they just get so wrapped up in the Saints. I just get so tired of them. I mean, I seriously wouldn't bother me if they did not win a game next season. They really wouldn't. I mean, I'm like, it's pushed me so far to the other end on the Saints that it's almost to the point where they're like the Raiders to me now.
Wow.
I don't know.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up was that the NFL has what they call that Rooney Rule. Now, they want to bring in Bill Parcells as the head coach, possibly, whether he does it or not. But before they could do that, they would have to interview a minority. And what a joke that would be, because it would be just to basically, it'd be circumventing the rules, basically, because they have no intention of hiring this guy.
It's just to satisfy the Rooney rules.
Exactly.
Is the only reason.
What do you think, Joe?
No, I agree with that. It'd probably get Jesse Jackson a little busy for a while.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they pretty much made it perfectly clear that if Bill Parcells wants the job, it's his.
Right.
And I heard one angle saying that, regardless of if they're planning on giving the head coaching job to a minority or not, that they still, still give him some credit for getting an interview.
Yeah, it would kind of get him. He would get like the experience of interviewing for you,
well,
okay. But you're getting the token interview.
Exactly.
That's, when do they have to start interviewing Norwegians? I'll sit in and I'll go interview for that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. NASCAR. Me and Nick, who was supposed to be sitting in here today, but he got tied up, and Darren and actually the Fat Man got into a little bit of a discussion on there. We decided we're going to save it for the show. Is NASCAR a sport, and are drivers athletes? You want to take this one first there?
I think BT's fresh off of reporting on the
that's right. He was just
on
up at the race.
I think we should let him hit it up.
What do you think there, BT? Is NASCAR a sport, and are they drivers athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that NASCAR is a sport, and the drivers are athletes. Because you look at what they do. They're driving around a 2-mile track at between 170 and 200 miles an hour. It's incredible to me that they're able to sit there for hours and do the same thing over and over again, and it takes a lot of training. Like, I was watching the number 70 car, who I believe is Joanna Long, get lapped over and over and over again by the leaders like Kyle Busch. And by the time the race ended, she was 10 laps down. But you just look at all the dedication and work that goes into it, I absolutely believe that they are athletes and it is a sport.
Yeah, I heard the Fat Man click in his microphone. I have a feeling he wants to add something here.
Yes, the Fat Man does. Let me get my camera up here. Okay. No, it is not a sport, and no, they are not athletes, and pretty much that's it.
What do you have to? Why are they not athletes? What makes them not an athlete to you?
Listen, everybody knows that I am approaching 1,000 pounds, and I could drive a car extremely freaking fast. Now, would you call me an athlete?
You couldn't fit in the car, Fat Man.
Wow. Easy to say outside
I have
the studio.
a car that I fit in just quite fine, and it's pretty quick. So, no, it's not a sport. In no way is it a sport. Matter of fact, what I really believe it is a waste of resources. That's what I believe it is. And you get a whole bunch of their rednecks to watch this car flip around a track.
Easy now.
It is absolutely freaking boring. And
Republican rednecks. We can talk about that on our show on Monday.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, they're Republicans, but let me tell you, no, there's Democrats too, because there's the good old liberal Southerners. But let me tell you, it is not a sport.
What do you think, D?
This season is the first season I've actually gotten into NASCAR, and I've watched every race so far. To me, if you got a guy in his mid-50s competing with dudes in his mid-20s, it's not a sport and they're not athletes. There's a big difference between somebody fit, somebody's in shape, and an athlete. There's millions of people that are in shape, but not all of them are athletes.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, granted, these guys, it takes a lot of stamina to win these races or to even compete in these races, but in no way can you call them an athlete. I mean, could you imagine one of these guys, playing 90 minutes of soccer or trying to play a pickup game of basketball? Some of them probably could, but, yeah, I would as entertaining as I'm finding it these days, I don't consider them athletes now.
What do you think,
and that's
Joe?
exactly what I wanted to say there. Their little boy is, can you imagine me even walking more than 50 feet? So, yeah, and yet I could drive a car.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. What do you think, Joe?
I think it's absolutely a sport, and I'm teetering on the athlete.
Yeah.
It's probably like 51-49 with me. But, I mean, to be able to sit in a car that long, go that fast, with strategy, with the competition, it's hinging on athlete.
It almost I definitely believe it's a sport. I do believe it's a sport. Now, whether or not it's an athlete is an interesting term because Nick and I got in a little bit of a discussion, Does that mean baseball? Are baseball players, are all baseball players athletes?
No.
Okay. All right. So that's because I was saying, it was easy to throw. I mean, look at David Wells. I mean, you could look at CC Sabathia. These guys are great baseball players. So not athletes.
What do you keep picking on the Yankees for, you jerk?
I'm pretty sure CC Sabathia could hold his own on a basketball court.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure he could dish by Mark Martin.
All right, David
David
Wells is a better example.
And David Wells, I don't know if you remember or not, but he did kick the crap out of like 6 people in a fight. So
I remember he got his teeth knocked out. That's what I remember.
Yeah, but it was him against like 6.
But because I think what NASCAR actually takes, maybe not necessarily be an athlete, but you have to have a lot of stamina.
Oh, yeah.
And so now look at like a marathon runner. If you're a marathon runner, does that make you an athlete?
Being fit doesn't make an athlete, in my opinion.
Okay.
So no.
That's a good point. What do you think?
And an athlete is such a loose term, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
Very few people. To me, an athlete is somebody that could excel at any sport they want to.
Right.
And not everybody could do that.
Right. What do you think, BT? Uh-oh, did he get hit by a train? Okay, we lost BT. I thought he was being quiet there. He can call back in. You know the number.
BT's here. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Handing out tickets.
All right, we're gonna.
What was the question?
I think Darren was saying that he doesn't think that the drivers are athletes. He said there's a difference between being fit and being an athlete. An athlete can play multiple sports or at least compete in an actual different sport. And what it basically takes to be NASCAR drivers, you got to have a lot of mental strength and you have to have a lot of stamina. And that doesn't necessarily an athlete make. I can agree with that. I think I can agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, I think the athlete, it could go either way. But
I do think it's a sport,
is
though.
Definitely a sport.
I definitely think it's a sport. That's a good call. So Fat Man's wrong. Everybody else is right. Last subject. What do you think is the best way to decide a college national championship? Do you like the BCS, what they do in football, or do you like the tournament, which they do in basketball? Let me start with you there, Joe.
They do it more than just basketball, by the way.
Well, the big tournament. Okay, yeah, the big tournament.
I like the tournament. I like the Final Four.
Does that leave you like the most satisfaction with whoever wins that is you're most satisfied with that national champion?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, D?
No, I couldn't disagree with that more. To win a tournament, especially the basketball tournament, March Maddness, and even in college hockey, all the way up to the Frozen Four. There's nothing more exciting in sports. I'll give you that. It's very exciting to watch from day one. I can sit on my couch and watch every single game, but by no means is the winner of that the best in the country.
Yeah,
it's just who happens to be playing the best at that time. Last year, UConn won. They got hot through the Big East tournament, ended up winning the whole thing, but they weren't the best team in the nation. So to get the true number one, I actually think you got to go the BCS route. But as a fan, I like the tournament.
Right. I think I agree with you. What do you think, BT? Still alive?
I hate the BCS, if I'm being honest with you. I cannot stand it. I think, I look at how Boise State's been screwed, and I could argue they're one of the top teams in the last 5-6 years. And I think they've been screwed every year just because of the conference they play in.
Right.
They play teams like Georgia and just dismantle them. And then they play in the bowl game, and they beat people.
I think the BCS system can be tweaked a little bit to make it better. But I think that gives you the best actual champion. I actually agree with Darren on that. Even though I enjoy the championship that they have in college basketball, I don't follow college basketball at all during the year. And as soon as the tournament starts, I actually start paying attention. Yeah. And I think it's more fun as a fan. But if you want to actually talk about whether you're satisfied with the actual choice of who the champion is, I agree with you, D. I think that. It's not a perfect system, but the BCS,
no, it's not. But it's the closest to getting a true number one. A lot of people make the argument for Boise State.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they are playing teams like, Hawaii, and this last year, they were in the Mountain West. But before that, I'm talking, they were playing a weak conference. So say what you want about, you could only play the schedule in front of you.
Right.
But if that schedule isn't as good as somebody else's schedule, who was able to run through an undefeated SEC season, then
another thing is in college football, you have a lot of not all, but you have a lot of control over who you play. I mean, they pick a lot of those teams. Couldn't they make their schedule harder if they wanted to?
Yeah, the problem with that is a team like Boise State would have to play them all on the road. I mean, it's all about money. It's all about money in college
What if
sports.
they did something different in college sports and the NCAA actually made the schedule based on how you did the year before?
Would be fantastic.
I mean, you think that's something that's feasible?
How many non-conference games is college football? I mean, I think it's only like 3 or 4.
Right.
It's not very many.
Right.
So.
But at least they could schedule those against some pretty. If you're a good team, you can schedule them against some good team, and actually, we can determine. You don't want a team to have a cream puff schedule all year, and then put them in the national championship game against a really good team that they haven't faced and get smoked, because that is very unsatisfying.
That would be very bad, and that would be very bad for NCAA.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see maybe BCS picking like a top 4 and then having a little mini tournament. That would be amazing to watch, but to just leave it up open to 10 guys, I mean, what if a team that wasn't even ranked just happens to get hot? It's just, no.
I'm gonna add a quick little blurb on the end here with college sports. I was talking to somebody at work, and what do you think about the college basketball rule where the players are allowed to come in and play for? We're pretty far in. I'm gonna make this real quick. The college basketball the players are allowed to come in for 1 year and leave. Do you think that takes away from the game? I mean, I used to actually follow college basketball. I'm not interested because there's no players to follow anymore. Anybody that's good is there and they're gone. No 3 years. You don't even have them for 3 years.
Can I jump in?
Go for it.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't want to screw with your flow, but it beats 10 years ago when they didn't have to go in at all. So at least you're getting these guys at the college level for 1 year, as to where before, guys like LeBron and Kobe didn't even play college ball at all. So if you're good enough to play in the NBA, I don't think they should make you stay longer.
What do you think about that, BT? Did we lose him again? All right. What do you think about college basketball players coming in for a year and then leaving, Joe?
I'm with you on this one.
Yeah,
big time.
I remember I'm a little older than you, D. Nobody's as old as Joe, of course. But I remember Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan and even Shaquille O'Neal and stuff. And you really, really start to follow these guys and you kind of follow their college career. And now there's no way to follow. There's so much movement. I think it takes away from the game.
No question. But how can you fault a guy? A lot of these guys come from pretty poor backgrounds. How can you fault them?
I can't blame them at all. I would go to the NBA as well.
As a college basketball fan, it sucks, but I can't. I totally understand why they're doing it.
No, I understand why they're doing it. I think maybe they need to change the rules so they don't have that option.
Like
anymore.
baseball, maybe. Baseball, I think you have to stay a minimum of 3 years in Division I. If you go, but the problem is baseball players have that choice. They could get drafted.
They also have a minor league system, and a lot of these other, especially in basketball, these guys make themselves eligible for the draft, and they don't get drafted, or they get drafted and cut. And where do they go? They go
overseas.
They're just gone. There's a chance in baseball for you to, even if it does, there's more opportunity in baseball. There's more spaces for you to go. All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up the show. We went pretty long this week, but it was a real fun discussion. I really appreciate you coming in, sitting in the last minute, Joe.
That's right.
First time on camera for Joe, so we appreciate him coming in. You can find me at Facebook. Jeez. You can find me at Twitter.
What are you, 12?
At LBHost. And you can email me at littleboy@fatmanlittleboy.com. And go ahead, D.
I'm at Darren PFP Sports.
And you can reach BT. I know he got ran over by a train, but you can reach BT at PMLBsports.com, and he is at BT on PMLB on Twitter. And
what about me?
And okay, we'll bring the Fat Man.
And you can reach me at Fat Man Show. And all right, there you go.
Check out Fat Man. Fat Man has a new show called The Fat Man Show that he's doing once or twice a week. And I don't agree with what he says on there, but it is fun to watch because it gets me a little riled up, gets me ready to come and do our show on Monday.
And that's why I do it.
Yes. His whole life, his whole meaning of life is to get me riled up. He doesn't.
I have to do your blood pressure. Got to keep it going.
Anyways, until next week, I appreciate you watching and take care.
Cheers.